but due to some work I was occupied, I could not. Whoever will join, otherwise they will see the record. So thank you, and today we'll speak about the story of Purim and the story of Amalek. In this Shabbat, it's called Shabbat Zachor, which means remembrance, to remember what Amalek did. The word of the Torah, in end of Parashat Beshalach, we are reading it as a maftir. The word is, say, 1 minute, Kisa. One minute, we'll start. Just find it. I wanted to read it from the inside. So we are reading today the Parashat. We are speaking today about Parashat Zachor. It's actually in Dormitory 25 in the Deuteronomy 25. We'll read it from the words inside. So in this parasha we will read, we are adding another chapter before Purim. We are remembering Amalek. There is a command in the Torah to remember Amalek. Who was Amalek and why we are reading it before Purim? So the command, this is the words of the Torah. זכור את אשר עשה לך עמלק, remember what Amalek did to you, בדרך, on the way, בצאתכם ממצרים, when you came out of Egypt. אשר קרך בדרך, when he catched you on the way, ויזנב בך את כל הנחשנים אחריך. And he was going after the weak people who going in the end of the road. ואתה עייף ויגע, and you are tired and exhausted, ולא ירא אלוהים, and not having a fear of God. והיה בהניח אדוני אלוהיך לך, there, when God going to give you rest from all your enemy, מכל אויביך מסביב, בארץ אשר אדוני אלוהיך נותן לך נחלה, in the land which God going to give you as inheritance, תמחה את זכר עמלק, you should wipe the memory of עמלק, מתחת השמיים, under the שמיים, לא תשכח, you should not forget. And here is a story about the Amalek. Amalek was the enemy, the first enemy that Am Yisrael met on the way. When they came out of Egypt after they succeeded to go from Egypt, after all the miracles, Am Yisrael started the road in the desert and reached to a point when his Amalek started to fight with him. How he fight with him? He was going after the people they used to go in a row, in a row, the people who are in the end of the war, they used to, which means the weak people, the old people who are hard to walk, they used to camp them, kidnap them, kill them, and from this, Am Yisrael suffered. Am Yisrael had to enter to a war with Amalek. And the war of Amalek was, in that moment, was a very critical moment for Am Yisrael, because Am Yisrael was just started his journey as a nation. Obviously, people were very weak, very tired, very not knowing where they're going. But Amalek, it was just after they came out from Egypt. Amalek saw all these miracles of Am Yisrael going against the biggest empire of that time and win them. But still, Amalek didn't have any fear. He wanted, and he entered immediately to a war with Am Yisrael, even if he knew that Hashem is on the side of Am Yisrael. Rashi, Rabbi Shlomo Yitzchaki, who is a great commentator of the Torah, the greatest commentator of all the time, he said, he compared it to someone which has create a very, very, very cold or hot bath. No one were there to enter inside. Then someone came inside. Even that he heard, the same person who came inside, he himself became cold or became hot, and he hearted because he entered to this bath. Even that, it still make to the other to think it's possible. Same thing with Amalek. Amalek immediately started the war of Am Yisrael. No one dared to fight with Am Yisrael at that time, because everyone knew that Am Yisrael defeated the enemy, the biggest empire, Egypt. And if Egypt had to give up on them, so all the rest never dared to deal with Am Yisrael, to do any fight with Am Yisrael. But Amalek did. But still, the command of Amalek, it's very questionable. Why is that we are commanded about Amalek to do that way? There is a story about, we know, before we'll go to that, just to explain a little bit more, the command is to wipe all the memory of Amalek. And moreover there, the Torah said that until that is a war of God to fight with Amalek. We never saw it on any other nation. No other nation God say that this is my biggest enemy, and this is, even that, okay, they were fighting, the fight with Am Yisrael, but what is about Amalek that even the Midrash said the chair of God in the world is not full, is not ready until the Amalek will be wiped off the world. Why? It's never we saw that the Torah speaks about any nation in such way, only about Amalek. And if it's so, we need to understand what is the real meaning of Amalek. Why Amalek is such a big trouble to the existence. And to understand the question even greater, we'll say the story of Shaul. Shaul HaMelech, the first king of Am Yisrael. First king of Am Yisrael. After they entered to the land of Israel, For some time they have they never nominated a king. They had what it's called judges, sages, people that were judging Am Yisrael and ruling how it will go. But a kingdom was formed first time at the time of the prophet of Shmuel. The prophet Shmuel, he agreed, and he after Am Yisrael came to him and said that they want a king, he agreed to nominate a king to them. And as per prophecy of God, the story of Shaul is also a very interesting story, how he became a king. It said that he was a beautiful, smart boy that was helping his father to collect his donkeys, and the same day, suddenly, Shmuel told him, "You're going to be the king of Am Yisrael," and nominate make him as a king, crowned him, anointed him, and made him the first king. And he was a very successful king until one day, he commanded by Shmuel to go after Amalek. The Amalekites have been a great trouble to Am Yisrael. The story of, at the same time of Shaul, the Amalekites also, there is a story that they took 400 kids and young guys, and they burned the city of Ziklag. And David, which was the same time of Shmuel, of Shaul, I think that time he was not yet a king, or that he was a king, but anyhow, he had to run after the Amalekim. But Shaul was commanded to wipe them off. And he went after them, and he indeed killed all the men, and only kept children and sheep, and sent it, and he came back, and the king of the Amalekim, he kept with him as a prisoner. What is the reason was maybe to judge him in front of everyone, but he was a good king. He didn't want to do anything against the word of God. But obviously, when he came back, already Shmuel, the prophet, was waiting very furious. That's why he didn't do the word of God exactly. And it's to remove all the nation of Amalek. Why he kept the kids, why he kept the flock. And then it's described how Agag, the king of Amalek, was a very polite person, and he decided, and Shmuel himself, the prophet Shmuel himself, killed him in front of all the nation of Am Yisrael. And the story continues that from the same night that he was not killed by Shaul, the same king of Amalek had an opportunity to be with a lady, and from there his descendant was the Haman. This is the relations to why we read it in front of Purim. But we see, and after that, the story not ended here. The story continued that Shmuel, the prophet of the same time, went to Shaul and told him, "That's it. You're not going to be any more king." And he tear off the clothes. He had one aderet. He tear it off. Shmuel take one piece and he said, "This is the way that the kingdom will go to someone that have the crown going to move to someone that is more righteous than you, that he will understand that." And it was David HaMelech. And then Shaul for a long time was enemy of David until it's ended with Shaul killing himself in the battlefield, which is a different story. Anyhow, Amalek is the biggest fight. And it's such a big fight that the first king of Am Yisrael, that was a good king again, was not, God didn't forgive for that. He could forgive on maybe other mistakes that he did, but for that he didn't kill Amalek, God didn't forgive him, and he immediately removed him from his being a king. And again, the question is why? We didn't see that in no other nation we are commanded to kill them like that. We are not, because we are usually Jewish. Our people, we are supposed to give wisdom, to be in peace with all the world. But on Amalek, we have the command. And to understand that, is need to understand what is the inner meaning of Amalek. What is the inner meaning of Amalek? Because we know that everything Hashem created in the world has a spiritual source. The Torah, for example, in general, called Mashal HaKadmoni. The ancient analogy, which means the entire Torah, it's analogy for something. And based off that, Baal Shem Tov teaches us that everything in the world, that everything Hashem created, it came from a purpose that we will learn from it something. So it's not created by chance. Everything is planned as per the point, and everything has an inner meaning. So the meaning of Amalek, it said about Amalek, Reshit Goim Amalek, the first of the nations, Amalek. And here we have to go a little bit to understand the story that we had with conquering of Am Yisrael and coming out of Egypt and reaching Eretz Israel. So Egypt, as we learned already, we discussed it in the past, Egypt, it's actually in Hebrew means boundaries. Metzrayim, Metzarim. And Am Yisrael was in slavery under Egypt, which means he was under some boundaries. And when he came out of Egypt, he started to come out of its boundaries. And he go to the desert, go through the desert, until he reached the land of Israel, which is called Eretz Tova Urchava, land of good and land of goodness and spaciousness, which means it's a very pleasant place to be. And this is supposed to be a parable to that some road that our nation or a Jew or the world going to. In everything in the existence, always it's connected, which means there is a process of we coming out of some slavery of our bad habits, slavery of the worries which caused by our bad habits, or our bad inclination, if we want to call it this way. And you have to go out of these boundaries until you reach to some very spacious land, and you have to go through some road in order to reach to this land. And once you reach to this land, you have 7 nations to conquer. And the seven nations, once you conquer them, you are the ruler of the land of this land. And after that, you conquer all the 7, then you need to go after Amalek. This is a command which we read in the Torah. So you need to come out of Egypt, go through the entire journey in the desert, reach to the land of Israel, conquer the land of Israel, then you are in rest. And after you are in rest, you go after Amalek. This is a command that the Torah describes. After God will give you a rest, you have to remember to go after Amalek. And here we need to understand. It said, Reshit Goyim Amalek. He is the first of the nations, first of the Gentiles. What it means? We know that everything starting with a situation which you grow from a seed. There is, when you plant a tree, it starts with a seed. The hatred of the Gentiles to Am Israel started from Amalek. He is the one that actually showed everyone other that it is possible to go against the nation of God, and it is possible to fight with them. And hence, it's continue to much more wars which until today we face, because the seed which is okay to fight with the nation of God planted by Amalek. And this, he was the first one that dared to fight with us after we declared as a nation of God, after we received the Torah, after we came out of Egypt. The first one which really felt it's okay to fight with us, after we declared, became that we are a nation of God, was Amalek. So he planted the hatred to the Jews. Which means Amalek was acknowledging that this is the nation of God. He knew it. He just saw all the miracles. Everyone knew this is how the Torah described it. Everyone knew, but especially Amalek, which was there. But Amalek himself didn't felt that, okay, whatever, God chose them, but I can choose differently. This kind of hatred, it was what we called unexplained hatred. Without any rational explanation, you are not benefit from this. Amalek was not benefit from fighting with Am Israel. It was we were not even conquering his land. We not came after him. But still, Amalek chose to fight, which means he fight with Am Israel with no any rational reason. His hate was totally pure hate based on his chutzpah, what it's called, chutzpah belo tam. It's what is called someone that is arrogant without any reason. He's not enjoying, it's not bothering him, he's not tempted, nothing. Just come to fight with Am Israel. After all the other nations which had something to lose, for example, the 7 nations that Am Israel come to conquer, they obviously wanted to stay on the land. But they felt that if Amalek, which was just fighting with Am Israel with no reason, felt it's just that he's okay to fight with them, so we, obviously, that if we lose something, obviously we're allowed to fight with Am Israel. Even that they knew the nation of God. And if they're coming now to the land of the Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, obviously, as per the real purpose of the creation, if you acknowledge that God wants you to give some land to someone else, you give it. You sell it, you get them in a peace way, but if you know that there is a wish of God here, obviously, you not reject it. But the fact that Amalek already fought with them, so they felt, okay, it's okay to fight with them. It's something which is in the reality. And it was the source of all the fights. Now we'll try to explain it also in the inner meaning on something that we can learn from it in our journey. When a person comes from a boundaries, already Hashem did for him some miracles, he already came to acknowledge that there is a God which running his life. And hence he depends on him. Then the next step is what he's supposed to do with that. So obviously the next step is to take this acknowledgement that God is the master of the universe. Hence I need to behave as per he wish. But there is always a voice that in the same place where Amalek, where just you came out, just you got this acknowledgement that you know that there is God and you need to serve him, he tells you, okay, but it is a but. He's starting to give you doubts. And these doubts, which created in the logic mind of the human to not serve God as per he's supposed to do, it's the beginning of the bad inclination, which after that lead to existence to many bad attributes which can come, which sitting on the land of Israel, which is compared to the 7 nations that conquered, that we had to conquer in the land of Israel. Which means, in the same moment that there is some doubts about what I'm supposed to do in the world, and that I'm supposed to serve God, same moment, my bad attributes, which mean if I want to do something not right because it's give me some kind of pleasure, or that I feel that I have to do something against, even if I know that God is not exactly happy with that, but I'm still doing it, it is come because this kind of doubt is coming in our mind. The same thing indifferently. When you want to do a mitzvah, let's say someone wants to give a charity, and he said, if I will give the charity, and he decided to give the charity, and then some doubts come in his mind, and sometimes it's very small doubt. No, maybe I should give it to some different places, and maybe should I do with a different charity? If you already have a good thought to do the mitzvah, then the doubt starting to come in your mind to destroy that. And then the bad attribute which exists with everyone, which is maybe I should keep the money for myself, it's coming to expression, coming to a stronger expression. So the seed of all the bad habits is actually starting from the Amalek which we have inside. There is a story that Rabbi, I will just tell you the name, I don't want to say the myth. I note for me the name, 1 minute. Rebbe King was a great tzaddik in 200 years approximately, in the time of the beginning of the Hasidut movement. One day, he was sitting in his office, and he knew that he had a big debts. Rebbe King had a big debts. And he had a lot of problems. And some very wealthy men heard about it and came to the office of Rebbe King. He knocked on the door and he said, Rebbe, I heard that because of all the mitzvot that you do, you have a big debts. I want to give the money. Okay. He gave him an amount which was a huge amount, 300 ruble. 300 ruble used to be in that time, like, I don't know how to compare it today, but it's very considerable amount. And he took this considerable amount and he gave it to Rebbe King. Few minutes after, the wealthy man left and received the blessing, and The money was there in the drawer of Reb Nachum Chernobyl. Few minutes after, a lady came to Reb Nachum Chernobyl, knocked on his door, and she said she wants to speak with him. And she started to tell him how much, sorry, it was a Jew, it was a man that came to tell him that how much he's in debt and how much he's in problems, and he not paying even the tuition for his kids, and he already over 1 year, and he didn't pay the rent for the place which he giving to the people. Anyhow, big problems. How much money you are in debt? Approximately, he told approximately 300 ruble. Okay, 300 ruble. The tzaddik, he left out, the same guy, and then the tzaddik started to think. He already decided that, okay, I'm giving him the money. He said, he is more miskin than me, I will give him the money, I will manage. 2 minutes after, he started to think differently. Maybe I will give it, this is such a considerable amount, for this considerable amount, I can give 6 families to live. Why I should give it to one person? Started to do calculations. And again, calculation was very rational. He said, why should I give such amount to one person? I can give it for 6. And also my family can I have, and then, started calculation. Then immediately stopped himself, he called this guy, said, come take the money. What happened? Then he told it to the house, to the people of the house. His wife heard that 300 ruble came, and he gave the money to one person. She wanted obviously to fry him. But it is what it is, he already gave the money. And what she was asking him, but what exactly happened? So he told her, see, he's a great tzaddik. He said, in the same moment when the machshava, the thought, came to my mind that I supposed to give the charity to this man, this is probably what for the good inclination. After that, when accounts started to come, this is where the Amalek, the doubt started to come in my mind, because probably my heart also wanted to explain why he also supposed to receive. In the same moment, I knew already that this is to come from This is advice of the Yetzer Hara. It's not advice of the Yetzer Tov. And then I had to give it. The same thing in every one of us. Every one of us has the ability to win his Yetzer Hara. But how we will do that? The only way to win the Yetzer Hara is by applying our mind to see if there is any good thought we have now, we want to do something good and positive. And if we see that any of us feels that this is actually a something which I'm starting to have doubts about it, this is coming from Yetzer Hara, and this is causing after that to the bad attributes to come. And this is how it's developed, by the doubts starting to come. When Am Yisrael entered to the land of Israel, they are the one that succeeded after coming out of Egypt to win the 7 nations, which means in the end of the game, we're supposed to turn our entire 7 attributes that are right now hosted by bad habits. we're supposed to change it to a pure and healthy land, like land of Israel, which means a place which only the divine voice and divine wish sitting and ruling. But this is taking time. It's a war. This is what we call tikkun hamidot, how we're fixing our attributes. But one point of time, if person really try and work for it, God give him the opportunity to do that, to fix his own midot. But he have to work on it. But by how he can work on it? By applying his mind. But then there is another level. After the person even reached to such situation which his attributes already fixed, he behave properly. He already filled with divine light and is behaving as per this light. Then still he have to do another step. He needed to illuminate the Amalek. He need to illuminate the doubts which he have. He need to illuminate all this voice that can create again enmity to his good attribute which he's having. Because otherwise it will come back. And how to do that? But as we said, the Amalek is sitting even above the attributes. It's something which you are not even have the ability to control it. It's just it just arrived by us. So the answer to that, the answer to that is that it's a constant fight. It's constant fighting, and this fight will end only when Mashiach comes, when we are in a situation which we are reaching to the full promised land in the entirety. Which means, in one point of time, when Am Yisrael will reach to situation of Mashiach and Geulah, then no one should have any doubts. The voice of doubts will stop come to our mind. We will know already what we're supposed to do, and how we're supposed to conquer our own attributes, and how to reach to a situation which we are living divine life. Now, in 2 minutes from now, there is now reading of Kriyat Shema, worldwide Shema. I don't know if you heard about this. All the Jewish people now around the world saying the Shema prayer together on Thursday, March 21st, today. In Israel, it will be on 5:30, in New York, 11:30 in the morning, and Mumbai, it's 9 p.m., which is another 1 minute. So we're going to say, I request you, all of you, if you can open camera and say Shema Israel with me, open microphones. We will try to say Shema Israel, all of us together. Everyone, please join me. You can open microphones now. Please open your microphones, everyone. We say it in Shalom, in the peace of the Chatufim. I see that we'll say it now. Okay, we'll say now Shema Yisrael. We'll do Shema Yisrael. Shema Yisrael.
שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני
אחד.
אחד.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. היו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, לשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, היו לטוטפות בין עיניך, כתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. יחי אדוננו מורנו ורבנו מלך המשיח לעולם ועד. Obviously, to say Shema Israel and to remind the unity of God of every one of us, this is exactly what eliminates Amalek. Be'ezrat Hashem, we will see the real freedom from Am Israel, from the Amalekites that we have in the heart, and our enemies out also will stop, because they will understand that we are not here to do anything but the wish of God. בעזרת השם, במהרה בימינו, אמן.
אמן, אמן.
תודה רבה.